anything we've covered on this show so far?
More than the screen time episode, Curtis?
Yep. Okay, fine. Two. But this one, it's personal.
Huh, okay. Welcome to parenting, my friend. What are we talking about today?
All right, puberty. Well, it's that time. My daughter's hitting the puberty
Ooh,
stages, right? So the
yeah.
conversation today is how to have it without making it a total disaster.
Ah, the talk, yes. Curtis, I applaud you for even considering having the talk, right? Because it's a thing a lot of parents don't do, right? That talk.
Yep, that's right. The talk, capital letters, ominous music. Do do do.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that conversation with my kids and or at least my son. My wife did my daughter, and I wanted to say I
Yep.
handled it brilliantly, but I don't think I did.
Hmm. Yep, it's a tough one for sure. See, this is why I love being on this show with you. Okay, so to our listeners, if you're a parent of a tween or you can see puberty on the horizon and you have no idea how to approach it, this episode is for you. We're breaking it down, the awkward, the practical, and the actual really important. Stick with us. Let's just name it first. Why is why is this conversation so hard for most of us?
Well, for me, honestly, I didn't get it from my parents, right? Like at all. So I had zero model on how to do this. I
Right?
basically learned it, like probably most of us, from the schoolyard, right? Most of my education, and
Yep.
we didn't have Google back then, right? So I was
No,
basically
no.
improvising, right?
Yeah, right. Well, that's most of us, right? We're working with an old programming.
Exactly. And that's just the pressure right there, right? There's this
Hmm.
like you've got one shot, you have to get it perfect. You can't mess it up, right? Which is completely wrong, by the way, because you're going to mess up everything in life at some point on some
Yep.
level. But that's the pressure you feel when you're trying to even think about or have this conversation.
Yeah, that's right, RJ. I think there is also a fear of like over sharing. Like, I don't want to traumatize my kid. I don't want them to think I'm weird. So I end up saying too little instead of too
Mhm.
much.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's just real right there. Thank you for that. The pendulum swings. Some parents say nothing, right? Some say too much in one
Yep.
sitting, but there's this sweet spot somewhere in the middle, and it's not a one-time thing. It's a slow drip of information over time.
Yeah. You want to talk more about that? The slow
Yeah,
drip?
so with my kids, and this is looking back now, I can see what worked. The conversations that actually landed were the casual ones, right? Not the sit down, we need to talk
Hmm.
moments. It was the, like we've said many times, it's
Yep.
the car ride home, right? The random Tuesday at dinner or less formal, less pressure moments.
Yeah. That tracks with everything. I've read about this. Kids don't want a production. They want a parent who is approachable.
Absolutely. You want your kids to
So,
be able to
all
always
right.
come
Let's.
to you, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's get into the actual how to, because I think a lot of parents know they should have the conversation. They just know what that looks like in real
All
life.
right, Curtis, give me your top tip. What do you think is the most important thing
Sure.
parents get wrong?
I would have to say timing, RJ. They wait too long, like way too long. They're waiting until they see that the kid needs the information, and then by then, they've already gotten it from somewhere else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like we said, from a friend at school, right, who has no idea what they're talking about. They picked up some information somewhere or they imagined it and they're sharing it with your kids.
Yep, that's right. It's probably usually wrong, probably, or not the entire truth,
Hmm.
right? So now you're dealing with misinformation on top of the regular awkwardness. Start early. Then you can think, even just planting a seed. Hey, as you get older, your body is going to change. And that's completely normal. That's a key point right there to say it's
Hmm.
normal. Because if you don't say it's something different, then they'll probably think, oh my God, I'm a weirdo or something. And you always want to make it feel like you're asking anything that's puberty
Hmm.
conversation.
Yeah. That's the key one right there. At some point when they're truly young, talk about that. That's the first step in puberty conversation before they're a tween, believe it
Hmm.
or not, right? So that you're preparing them for
Yep.
when they're a tween and when their body starts to change, and you're preparing them for the deeper conversations, right? I'd also add use the right
Yep.
words from the start, right? Like you mentioned, use the actual
For sure.
names for body parts, right? I know some parents wince at
Yep.
this, but kids who grow up, hearing clinical language are so much more comfortable talking about their bodies, right? How many kids, young kids who you've seen who can use the word vagina, right? And look, yes, believe it or not, it makes some parents uncomfortable, but those kids are comfortable
Yep.
with their bodies. It removes the shame from the equation.
Yep. That's 100% true, RJ. Because that's what the body parts are actually
Right.
called, right? So if you use the proper terms instead of some slang, it makes it more understandable. Because if they read a book about it, they use the
Yep.
clinical terms,
Yep.
right? So okay, so what about the kid who completely shuts down? My daughter is not exactly a sharer. I ask one question, I get nothing.
Yep, I understand that one. Welcome to my life for about 6 years. Okay, so here's what actually
Yep.
worked for me. So again, and we've talked about this side by side activities.
Yep.
We don't understate it on this show. We
Right.
mention it again and again so that you don't have to look your children in
For
the
sure.
eye and vice versa, right? The car, the folding laundry, walking the dog, right? You're
Yep.
not looking at each other, the
Yep.
pressure drops, and suddenly they talk.
Yep. That's right. That's weird because it's so counterintuitive. You don't expect that to
Hmm.
happen, right? So a lot of times we go for a walk, my daughter would start chatting away, whatever, about school, about something. And normally, if you confront, like, look at her face to face, it's like looks at you, he's like, nothing. I did nothing today.
Yep.
Like, what? I know you've done something, but if you're beside the person, it just opens up,
Yeah,
right? It doesn't feel like an
e-
interrogation, maybe,
exactly.
but yeah,
I used to be,
yeah, yeah,
look, one of my favorite expressions was there's never a good time or never a bad time for a good lecture. You know what I mean? I used to, because you want to be on top
yeah,
of your
that's
kids.
right.
You want to tell them right for wrong, but you're not connecting with them. So kids don't feel like they're in a
Hmm.
meeting, right? They want to feel like they're just talking to their parent.
Yep, yeah, it's good. So it's like kind of like a friendly type of thing, right, with them. So, so just be like don't set up as a formal conversation. Just leave it
Absolutely.
as casual, and that's exactly what kids want to hear and be feel that they've been heard, right? So once more, yeah, I wanted to hit this. What about when parent is embarrassed, like they're genuinely flustered and they can't hide it?
Listen, name it, right? We talked about using the
For
language.
sure.
We talked, just own it. Literally, just
Yep.
say it. Look, I know this is a little awkward. I'm a little awkward about it too, but it's important. It's too important not to talk about it with us, you know? So that kind of honesty, it disarms
Yep.
everything. It takes away all the embarrassment and the awkwardness.
Yep. And it actually makes you more human to your kid. You're not pretending to be some perfect parent, right? All knowing parent. You're a person navigating through something that is real.
Yeah. And we want it to come
So
from
we
us,
got one more
right?
question. Yep, yep, for sure,
Yep.
RJ. I think it's more friendly. So not like some stranger or some like dictator
Yeah.
type person, I guess. For some kids that may look at their parent that way. But we got one question from a listener. She tries herself a trying mom. Love the name. She writes, "My son is 10 and I can see puberty starting. Every time I bring it up, he leaves the room. How can I reach a kid who completely shuts down?"
Okay, tired, but trying. I see you. This is so
Yep.
common, and I want to say something that might be a little counterintuitive. Don't stop trying.
Even when they leave the room?
Even then, because the message you're sending when you keep showing up gently again, without pressure, right, is I'm here. This is safe. I'm
Yep.
not going anywhere. That plants a seed. And one day, usually when you're not expecting it, they'll come to you.
Nice. That's pretty cool. And in the meantime, there's the stealth move I love. Books. Leave an age appropriate book on a nightstand or somewhere where they might walk by. Don't make a big deal of it. Just let it be there. Kids often will absorb information better when they feel they found it
Yeah, I
themselves.
like that one. That's smart, man. You're meeting them where they are without forcing a conversation they're not ready to have.
That's right. Because they'll say, "Oh, hey, what's this?" They'll look in through. It's like, "Oh, I'm going through this." It's like, "Hey, this is what I just
Yeah.
needed, right?" And then they might come to you later and say, "Hey, I read this book." I was like, "Yeah, I know you read the book because I saw
Well,
you
don't
reading
do
it."
that. Don't do that.
That's good.
But
So you're
yeah,
trying.
let them discover it
They
and
don't
let
mention
them
anything.
come to you with the question, right?
Yep. Yep. So you're doing everything right. Keep showing up, guys. All right, let's land this plane and take it one thing from today's episode. What is that? What's one thing from this
I
episode that was
think I've already
great?
said it earlier. Start the conversation before you
Yep.
think you need to, right? And make it a
Yep.
conversation, plural, not one terrifying event, many slow, key moments. Over years, right? Like I said, the first conversation is usually, look, your body is going to change one day. Accept it. It's okay. It's normal, right?
Yep.
And leave it at that. And then 6 months or so down the road, another conversation comes up about puberty. So puberty is not something you have to sit down at a certain age
Mhm.
and have that conversation, right? That's what builds the kind of relationships where your kids actually comes to you with the hard stuff when it matters because you had these
Yep.
small little, almost unimportant conversations, but they really mattered over time.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, this will help out through the teenage years
Yeah.
too, right? So I love that. For me, it's give yourself permission to be imperfect. You don't need to have all the answers today. You just need to be willing to stay in the room and let the kid talk.
Yeah. That's the whole job, really.
Pretty much. Okay, listeners, this episode has helped you. Please take 30 seconds and leave us a comment or a review. If it generally makes a huge difference in helping other parents find this show, and you've got a question you want to tackle, hit us up on parentsupportcircle.com. I can help you out. Also, if you guys want to read the newsletter, go check it out in the show notes. And you guys check that out. There's some cool newsletter stuff this week. So
And
talk
don't
to you
forget
next
to
week.
visit us at parentsupportcircle.com. Thanks for being here, everybody.